Hello and welcome to the session for Apps for Agriculture. This presentation and additional links to agriculture apps can be found at trufflemedia.com/apps4ag. That's APPS, the number 4, AG. Hi, my name is John Blue and I work for Truffle Media Networks, an agricultural media company focused on agricultural animal health issues. Thanks again to the Indiana Farm Bureau for making this opportunity available to you so you can get information you can use. What are the goals of this session? There are three. Learn more about where to find apps, learn about ratings and reviews of apps, and to discover some apps used by other people. What are some of the apps on your phone that you use the most? This is an example of apps that are on my iPhone and iPad. Some of them I still use, while some of them have fallen out of favor because they're no longer needed or they're no longer supported by the app developer. What actually is an app? What problems are you trying to solve with an app? Apps ideally are trying to help you make a decision, save time, be more productive, make or save money, or be entertained. There are a lot of apps out there. The Apple iOS store has over 1.5 billion apps, and the Google Android Play Store has over 1.6 million apps. The two main places to get apps are the Google Play Store for Android and the Apple iTunes App Store for iPhones and iPads. What actually is shown on an app store? Well, this is an example app that's listed. It usually shows a screenshot of the app and when it was published. It also might have information around who's used it and what they said, and some ratings that they provided. The app stores sometimes also share apps that are similar to one that you're looking at and what other people have downloaded. This is an Apple App Store view of the Mixed Tank applicator, similar to the one that the Google Play Store had. It also has related apps and apps that are similar to what others have downloaded, and shares apps that are made by the same software vendor. This app also has customer ratings, and it also has information on what's called in-app purchases. A quick note, in-app purchases means that the app may be free, but when you're in the app, certain functionality or features may actually have a cost to them. And so you get the app for free, but when you use it, you'll have to pay some extra costs to do some additional things within the app. On the ratings, not having a rating or maybe missing ratings might sway you one way or the other on whether to use it or download it. Some additional information about an app that the app stores provide are the date the app was last updated. That's always good to know, because if the app has not been updated in say over 2 years, then the app may not be supported anymore, or the app may not work on newer smartphones operating systems. Some of the stores may provide additional information on the number of installations and the in-app purchase costs. If there's an app that has tens of thousands of installations, that's a good sign in that there are other people out there that are using the app, and it actually is probably getting some data back on how well it's being used, and then helps the software developer improve it over time. What makes an app the best? I'm going to ask this a different way. What makes the best tractor? Yes, it's a rhetorical question in some sense, but there are many different views on what makes an app the best. And so I'm going to walk through some indicators that might help you make a choice on using an app and deciding whether it's the best or not. Ratings definitely are a good indicator. Having no ratings or a low rating doesn't mean it's bad, but more ratings can help provide a better sense of its usefulness. Also, the reviews from other people who have used it can help you make a decision on whether to download the app or not. Some apps are best because they're related to apps similar to the one shown. So if you like one app, then and it's showing you this other, you may want to go get the other one too, because you like the first one, and so by association, the second one also might be as useful or helpful to you. Similarly, apps that are created by the same software developer might also be of interest to you. So if you like one by the software developer, you might like the next one they've also released. Again, it's an association by the software developer that they're good on one, so they're probably good on another one. Media reviews of apps can help. These are several agricultural media sites that provide some sort of reviews and or useful utility to help find apps. CropLife has been publishing app updates for several years. I would say these are less of a review and more about an FYI that the apps exist. In their posts, there's nothing to say that the app has actually been used or tested by the author. The AgWeb App Finder has some items in it that might be of value. It has a list of about 80 ag apps with some links. The reviews are starred to provide, the review stars are provided by the media editors, but actual use in testing of the apps is not known. Agricultural.com also has an app finder. It has about 100 apps in it. Farms.com has an app finder. Their interface is a little bit more usable in that it allows you to sort and find things based on a specific indicator or device or price. Another route to finding apps that are the best is to ask people you know. For example, this is Jeff Fowl. He's a rancher in California that shares his app recommendation list. He uses the Farm Scout, Mix Tank, the Angus Mobile, the Nozzle Calc, and the Nitrate apps. Each of these he uses for various purposes on his ranching farm operation. This is another app recommendation list from Lynn Sinosky, who's with University of California, Davis. She's a wheat scientist, and she works on annual and perennial crops. And so some of her apps include the T-Jet nozzle calculator tool and connected farm tools. There's also a Trimble app in there. Chris Chen is a fifth generation family farmer. Her recommendation is very simple. She likes LogMeIn, because it's a great app that allows you to log into your desktop or laptop computer that's in your office and use the apps on that device. This is really great when you have large tools like animal records applications or QuickBooks, and you need to gain access to it from your mobile phone, smartphone, or your tablet. Will Gilmer, a dairy farmer in Alabama, shared his two apps that he likes to use. ArcGIS for quick area estimation and the Clemson sprayer calibration app. Carolyn Olson and her husband, they're organic row crop farmers, and they also have a conventional swine operation in southwestern Minnesota. Their apps are a couple. One of them is a general one, the green one with the elephant. That's called Evernote, and it's a good note-taking app. And the other one is FieldView. But the other two that say Farm Bureau on it, those are actually apps that help in terms of dealing with understanding benefits and for what it's called advocacy in policymaking. So the Farm Bureau Federation has created an app to help farmers and ranchers make connections with their policy and lobbyist members or staff to help translate that into policy and legislation activity at the state and national level. Here are some must-have apps. This is my personal view of the world. I use Google a lot, so I will have an app for the Google Sheets, Google Docs, the calendar, and Drive. It allows me to gain access to these things not only from my phone, tablet, but also from my desktops. I also use Dropbox. That's to share files with other people. And Evernote, as I mentioned earlier, Evernote's a general note-taking utility tool app. It's available on Windows, Macintosh, iPhone, Android, and all sorts of other devices. And then, of course, I use the Chrome browser on my desktop and my mobile devices. Another thing that's important to have are entertainment apps. Many times you are with your kids and they need some help, and so having some apps on there to help from an entertainment point of view is nice to have. Things from Netflix to Candy Crush and Minecraft are good apps for games, movies, and puzzles. We all have to deal with money in some fashion, and so most banks today have their own apps. Many of them all have the similar functionality with their brand and account details to fit you. Some of the functionality varies from bank to bank, so you have to check. A great example of a function I like is being able to deposit paper checks digitally by taking a picture of it, and then it gets uploaded and handled through the banking system without having to stop by the bank and actually do the deposit. Of course, there are limits to how each bank handles that. Weather, that's an important agricultural issue, and there are a lot of apps for that. The weather apps are there are lots of them. It's variety based on region and type and detail. Some of the apps are free and some cost money. And the best here is going to be what's best for you is going to be defined by where you are and what's going on in your region. Social apps. Everybody is probably on some form of social media, either a lot or a little. Most of the major social media channels all have a mobile app of some sort. Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, and Snapchat are all apps that are available on all the devices to stay connected. Reading news and information. There's going to be a lot of these. I happen to use only one of these, which is Feedly. That's the green one on the left. It allows me to organize information channels within Feedly and read it all at once there, as opposed to going from site to site to site. So, for example, I can read the Wall Street Journal and I can read agricultural.com from within Feedly without having to go through 2 different or 3 different sites. The other one is Flipboard, which is similar. It's actually more geared toward casual browsing, sort of like a magazine format. It actually is nice when you just want to flip through and read some things off of magazine sites. Again, I said there are lots of news apps. Pretty much every major media outlet and minor ones has an app of some form. For news, I would tend to stick with a national or well-known brand, as the experience will be much better for you. In the agricultural media space, there are also apps that are available from a variety of media outlets. The 5M Corporation, they're responsible for the pig site, the poultry site, the cattle site, and a few others. They have apps for each one of those. There's the Ag Index app. That's actually it's an app by the Monsanto company. The Ag Web News and Markets app, and then the Commodity Markets Exchange, or the CME Group mobile app, has information on commodities and market information. Each of these is useful in their own way. None of them tend to, there is some overlap, so you have to kind of figure out, well, if I want one thing specifically, then that's your go-to app. For commodities, I tend to use the CME Group mobile app. Another app that's useful to have is called the Square app. And if you're with any social group, like a church group, or you work with the Boy Scouts or Girl Scouts or FFA, and you need to help sell things at sites like Boy Scout popcorn or Girl Scouts cookies, the Square app allows you to take credit card transactions on site without having a wired connection in some fashion. It's very convenient. These next set of slides actually are app recommendations that come from Philip Sylvester, an agricultural extension agent from the University of Delaware. I'll walk through each of these. These are ones that he recommended that are nice to have on hand. Check It, which is a diagnostic tool to enable growers to identify nutrient problems in crops. There's the Ag PhD Field Guide, which is really an app to help with pest detection and provide some news and supporting update information. The Mixed Tank Calc, I've mentioned that earlier. This is an app to help calculate the number of loads that's required to spray your acreage, along with the full or partial load mixes of the chemicals you select. For those who are corn growers, you need to scout your fields to identify weeds and insects. This is an app that can help. The data in it can be used in reports and integrated with other software. Along the grain side of things again, this is an app to help calculate the effects of less than optimal moisture levels in your grain. I mentioned Ag Index already. That was a Monsanto company or Monsanto Corporation app. It mainly provides news and information that can be customized to location and by your crop portfolio. This is a Pioneer 360 field toolkit app, and it's really geared to help understand, growing information, precipitation, and the growth stage estimator. That's an integrated suite of tools provided by Pioneer. Again, these recommendations came from Philip Sylvester, the Agriculture Extension Agent at the University of Delaware. I get a lot of questions about where can I learn more about apps in general, say reviews and what things do. These are two shows I recommend listening to. They're on the internet. They are a podcast series. One of them is called iOS Today, and the other one is called All About Android. And they tend to focus on the general apps. Week to week, they'll produce a show, and they'll pick a couple apps, and they'll talk about them and how they're used and what's nice about them or what not nice about them. They're part of the This Week in Tech network, or twit.tv. So the iOS side covers things for all things Apple, and the All About Android are talking about things on your Android phone or one of your Android tablets. Again, thanks for joining the session today on Apps for Agriculture. This presentation and additional links to agriculture apps can be found at trufflemedia.com/appsforag. Another thanks to the Indiana Farm Bureau for the opportunity to provide you with this information you can use. If you have any questions, feel free to contact us at Truffle Media, trufflemedia.com, or at Truffle Media on Twitter. Thanks again.